Hello, welcome to this tutorial. My name is Franz and I will show you how to use the DustBuster Plus. First, let's play through this tutorial sequence. As you can see, here we have several scenes cut together. So what makes sense is to have a cut detection as a first step. I go here on my timeline setting to detect, select cuts and detect them. This will run a cut detection in the background, and you see here now these blue lines indicating a cut. Down here in the player, I can select that I just want to have my playhead in the cut. Since we have three completely different scenes with different problems, there might be different approaches to solve them. Let's concentrate on the first one. Here we have a quite good material, but with a lot of dust. So what we would do here is to select the automatic dust busting. In our system is a timeline-based approach, so we need to add filters to a timeline. So let's add an automatic filter to this timeline. So we go to any frame, ideally somewhere in the middle of the shot, yeah, and click here the plus symbol. Here, this will show me the available filters and tools, which we can use, and they are grouped in various categories. And I select now from my repair category the dust filter. Default, the dust filter will be applied to the current scene. Of course, I can make a filter longer or shorter by dragging it, or I have special selection over here that I can trim it to the current shot or the current frame or to the whole timeline. Of course, I can edit the numbers in here as well if I want to. You see now my timeline is red. This means there is a filter which is not rendered on this timeline. You see we have different tracks, filter tracks and tool tracks. The filter track I used here is for applying an automatic filter over the time. The tool track, which we will see later on, is a track to work interactively with a brush or a ROI. So let's see what the dust filter did. I can actually compare between before and after applying the filter. A means after restoration here, B means before. So I can switch to this. Actually, I can just click on this and this will toggle it. Or I have a shortcut, which is the tab key, tabulator key, with which I can switch between before and after. With the mouse wheel, I can zoom in and out to a specific position. I can also use the plus or minus key to do the zoom on the mouse position. For dust, we have a special viewing mode, or you can use it for other filters too, of course. Is when I click here into my viewing modes, I have a difference button, which will highlight in red the difference. And here I can see how it looked before. Here's the difference. And we see it nicely detected the dust spots, which I wanted to remove. Here on the right side, you can change the parameters of the dust filter. The most important ones is sensitivity. The higher the value, the more dust will be detected. But be careful, if you go too high, the dust might go into the grain. With lower value, usually you find just the more prominent dust spots. Since there is always a balance between detection and errors, we have here a safeguards, which when I bring it up to 1, so we have the least possible problems, and with safeguards 0 or very small, we have the best detection, but more dangerous. 0.5 is a balanced value and a good value to start with. Next, you can limit actually the size, the minimum size and the maximum size, so you can limit the spots which should be fixed, and you can select the bright or just dark spots depending on this. I will not go through or into the advanced section. I think there is a separate tutorial for Dust to go into there. Once the parameters I have selected is good, I go here up to do a render shot. I did this in meanwhile, and while this is rendering, when this is rendering, it turns into green. This tells me, okay, this filter or this timeline is rendered, and it's green, it's saved out to disk as well. Let us now compare with a side by side, and you see here before on the left side and right side thereafter the automatic application of the dust filter. As you can see, most of the dust spots have been eliminated. But we see also here there is one bigger spot which hasn't been fixed automatically due to my setting, because it's more dangerous to address big objects. So how do we fix that actually? And that's a good position for my tool track. I'm selecting the tool track, and here I have different tools available to fix. I could either fix this with a clone tool, a dust tool, or an interpolate tool. I will use for this now the clone tool. What does this mean? Clone would copy in information from another picture and position to my brush painted area. So I'm selecting this area, and you can see it's selecting by default the same spatial offset from a temporal offset 2 frames ahead. This would be one way to do it. Let me delete the clone, hitting delete, and let me show how I could fix it with an interpolate. An interpolate is a fully motion compensated way to fix that, and it will do the same thing. Okay, so for this shot there is not so much to do. Automatic dust cleaning and one interactive fix did get out most of the things. Of course, you can always find maybe on here or there a little spot left like this, which I just spotted. So this could be fixed easily then with the interactive dust tool, which would work more aggressive. It's not fully detected, so I go off the sensitivity full and it will be replaced. What is also useful, for instance, if the dust filter did something, and I show this in the difference mode, which you don't want to fix, like this over here, you can easily go into the history tool, history brush, select the area with a different softness. So you're using Shift and mouse wheel to change the brush size, and with Shift S and mouse wheel you change the softness of the brush, and unpaint it. Well, actually it was a dust, but I undid this one dust now. Let me fix this again by deleting the history, and I have the dust applied again. Okay, so let's move over to the next shot. Here we see, here we have a problem at the beginning, like the bad splice. And well, it makes sense to fix the instabilities or shakings first, and then do like the dust and interactive removal, since it's easier to fix other things when you have your images stabilized. So how we do that in DustBuster Plus, we just have one stabilization filter available, the stop roy tracking. I put this on my timeline. Please note that in the full Diamond film restoration suite, we have much more stabilizers available, like from automatic stabilization to border stabilization, perforation stabilization, and on. But in this case, we have to deal with the stop roy tracking only. Well, I can decide if I want to have a sub-pixel precision. In this case, I want to have it or not. So that's depending what you want to do. Sub-pixel gives the best precision in stabilization, but deals with sub-pixel movements, which just might have other disadvantages. In the DustBuster, you have the choice. So now it's called stop roy, so we need a region which will be tracked over the time, and I'm selecting some good trackable points which don't move over the time. So I'm selecting here this position, render the shot. It will track that region over the time, and it would stabilize based on our difference mode. Does not make sense here. Let me turn this off. And you see here in the rectangle how the tracking goes. But what makes sense is here the side-by-side view. So we see now to the right side the stabilized version. I can disable the region so that we don't see it. And on the left side, I see the original. So having done that, we see that here is a bigger spot. This is something which I would like to fix as a next step. For instance, using again my interpolate tool, making my brush bigger, selecting this off, and it would replace this by the information from the adjacent frames. If I would have a full diamond suite, I would also go here. We have a slight warp, so I would dewarp this at this position, which we cannot do in the DustBuster Plus. Also, you see there is quite a flickering on between the frames. I would also fix now the flickering with the deflicker, where we would need the full suite also. So having only the DustBuster Plus here, I have to deal with what I have, and I'm applying just now a standard dust filter to fix the dust spots here and there. To do so, I go here, add again the dust filter. Here there is already a filter, so it asks me what I want to do. Do I want to replace it, or do I want to add a new track, or find me an empty track, and add it if not available? So I say find new track, so it creates a new track. So I have now two tracks, track 1, track 2, and the rendering pipeline in DustBuster is bottom up, so it renders first the stop roy tracking and then the dust. Same is here now. I have my dust filter with my parameterization, and I can go now in difference mode. And voila, at some frames it will turn out completely red. So why is this? Well, it's because I have a stabilization under here. So when I toggle between before after, I see my dust fix with the stop roy tracking, which makes it difficult to see what dust alone does detect. For this, we have a parameter in the dust filter called show detection. The show detection would highlight now only the dust detection, but not the difference between A and B on the whole timeline. So here again, I could play with my parameters, certain sensitivity and safeguardings. I do a bit more safeguarding now, but a higher sensitivity as well. I could check this on several frames again to see if my detection is good. Well, I like it, so I disable now show detection, and it will render me the image. Having done that, I'm rendering the shot. So with toggling before after, I see then the before and after from the whole timeline. So I can check this. And while this is rendering, I could, and this turning green, I could start with my QC over here. And once this is rendered, I can go easily to my side-by-side comparison and play through the scene. If something is still missed, or if I want fixed, here we have like some stain or things on it, which is not nice. So I can go to my tool track, I can go to interpolate, and since normally in the auto reference mode, it's using the image from the previous and next image, but here I have some problems as well. I could select left only, which means just previous from the timelines from the left side, that I don't copy in information from the other. So to clear this out. And here I could go back to auto and clear this. Okay. Here, for instance, you see a small artifact is happening due to the high. Let us play through this high motion situation in here. Actually, I can use now my history brush to undo this. So let's play it in a side by side. And we have a dust-busted version and stabilized version of this shot. Of course, you can do more and more to have the perfect restoration of this clip. I hope this quick introduction makes sense to you, and if you have some questions, just write an email to us. And yes, thanks for listening and have a good day.